I know this has been in use for a little bit, but it's the first time that our speech team has actually been in this space, and when they first walked in, they were like, wow. And they lost their minds a little bit, because it's a really pretty space. We have a couple of things we're going to go over today, but before I get started, I wanted to talk about what we do specifically in speech and debate, because you have two things going on tonight. We had our PCC Intramural speech competition, where we had about 22 different entries that were all video. We broke to a semifinal where they had to come on the campus and perform live for a bunch of people and judges. And we took the semifinal of 13 students and broke to a final of 7 students. And all those 7 students are hopefully here tonight because every person in the final round gets at least $100. So we're walking with some kind of cash. I'm not going to have it tonight. I don't have it with me. Because of the way the system works, you need to give me something actually, which is like your name, the student ID number, and the address where we can send that check to you, but I promise that we're good for it. We'll get you the money. But those 7 finalists are here. We're going to announce the top 3 people tonight. Third place gets about $250. Second place gets $500. And first place gets $1,000. I know. I wish I was a student when we had this prize. It's going to be a cool night to figure out who that is, and we're really looking forward to that. It's our largest cash prize that we've ever given, and for this tournament, and we just want to make sure we had a good draw, and we really got a lot of great talent. So that's one thing that's happening tonight. And the other thing, in between that, announcing who's going to get what, is our speech and debate team. They're going to do some performances tonight for you. It's our showcase. And I'm going to introduce different people who help support them, like the assistant coaches and the coaches, and you're going to get to know them a little bit too. But there's a lot of work that goes on here that people don't realize like what exactly we do. And I wanted to start this evening with giving you some idea of what that work might be. So this is going to be participatory. I'm going to need you to do a couple of things with me if you're okay with it. I need you to stand up first. Could you all stand for a second? Yeah. Thank you. So the thing about public speaking is that everyone's afraid of doing it. When they get up here to do it, they're super tense. And one of the things that we do to try to get that tension out is we kind of wiggle it out. It's like a game of pokey pokey. The students that are in here, they know, and they'll help lead you through it, but we call it a shakeout. And we start with our right hand, and we shake it 8 times. We go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we do our left hand, and we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we do our right foot. Hang on to something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then the left foot, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's yeah. All right. And then we count down. It goes to 7 and 6 and 5 and 4. Are you ready to try this out? Yeah. Try not to go too fast, because it does get very fast at the end here. Okay, but count with me. Ready? Right hand first. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't know if you have insurance recovery at all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Almost there. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Stay with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. About public speaking is if you can embarrass yourself right at the beginning, you got nothing left to worry about. I did a speech once way back when in 2000 and something, where I had to literally fall right away on purpose. Because, it's embarrassing to fall, and once I did fall, nothing else scared me after that. So, now that you all embarrassed yourselves, I think this is a much more vulnerable and open space, and we're going to be okay with seeing these other performances, and hopefully our performers feel good too. I'm going to start this off by introducing our first presenter. His name is Matthew Shue. When we're watching things tonight, if you happen to hear this boisterous, lovable, just magnetic laugh out of nowhere, it's probably Matthew. I've known Matthew since I first came here to PCC way back in 2013. He was one of my first speech and debate students. He's been a good friend of mine over the years. He helped me move which I think says a lot because who helps anyone move these days? And that's part of the reason why I love him. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and welcome up Matthew Shoup. Make sure they're set to silent. Also, there might be some language in tonight's program. I don't know, some kind of cuss, or just one, maybe two. Yeah, that's it. So I have my kids here, though. I'm going to put them on headphones. They're going to be watching something on PBS Kids, I hope. And enjoy. There we go.
Well, thank you for that lovely introduction, Allan. I heard it earlier today, and so made me cry. All right, so like Allan said, my name is Matt. I've been with this speech team for a very long time. This I got on my second year, and it is probably about 8 years old now, so just to give you some context. I have the honor of introducing our first event and our first performer, and that event is Speech to Entertain, which is a very special platform speech, one that's very special to me, one that I competed in both years here. Now, it's like your normal platform speech that you would find in a Speech 1 class, so it's like a persuasive or an informative, with one very important difference. It's funny. This event uses humor and jokes to get its point across. And that's what makes it, in my opinion, the best speech and debate event ever. Now that we've gotten what a speech to entertain, or an STE, is out of the way, I would like to present our first performer today. And his name is Stoyan. Stoyan is a relatively new addition to our team. He joined just this semester from one of Allan's classes. And he hit the ground running, and through his hard work and dedication, he earned his spot on our national team. So please give a round of applause for Stoyan.
What do I have in common with a tiny little leprechaun hanging off the edge of a rainbow of light? We're both a little bit on the spectrum. So sometimes I have trouble expressing emotions in my speeches with the same ease as the rest of you. Oh, most of you. I thought that if I could find different emotions, new emotions, then perhaps I could show more range. And you won't believe this, but I actually found some. Emotions like cyberchondria, which is the anxiety you feel after accidentally typing your symptoms into IMDb instead of WebMD. Turns out, I have Gary Busey. But my search was part of a greater trend that the July 7th, 2021 National Library of Medicine called emo diversity, which is when one becomes better attuned to your more obscure emotions. Like the 19th century Castilian word duende, which is the heightened awareness of death one feels whilst dancing, the flamenco. Neuroscience News on August 24th, 2021 explained that individuals who experience a wider range of emotions, positive or negative, have better physical and mental health, stronger emotional resilience, and increased communication skills, which, as someone who experiences delayed responses, I need it. The Independent on February 12, 2022, explained that years of the pandemic have led to an increase in emotional numbing. And with mental illness at an all-time high, perhaps learning how to be emo-diverse can help bring those numbers low, 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 low. Sorry, I just bought some apple-bottom jeans. And the boots with the fur. 'Cause I'm going full spectrum up in her. So let's explore our uncharted universe of feelings by first identifying what exactly emo diversity is. Second, explaining why it's important. And finally, I will tell you how to increase your emotional awareness. emodiversity is by breaking it into two parts, granularity and obscurity. First, granularity. In her 2018 book, How Emotions Are Made, author Lisa Feldman Barrett states that emodiversity isn't just about feeling more emotions. It's about identifying exactly what you were feeling. For example, does this picture of me in a jacuzzi make you feel ablaze or alarmed? Look at this guy. He has emodiversity written all over him. I bet his favorite drink is espresso. And have you seen this guy's legs? I heard they empathize. John Koenig's 2021 book, The Dictionary of Obscure Sorrows, helps to elaborate on this topic. We all know the basic emotions: joy, sadness, anger, fear, disgust. You know, they're the characters from that Pixar movie, Inside Out. But they're also basic emotions that we're aware of as infants. But even though our emotions grow more complex as we grow older, we still tend to keep describing how we feel using simple sentiments. For example, after my rounds at the competition, I felt poopy. And wearing masks makes me go, wah, wah! And the crushing pressure of doing well at nationals made me go, uh-oh, gobble, 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 gobble. This brings us to the second part of emodiversity, obscurity. Our adult emotions become so complex that we begin to feel things that we didn't even realize we had words for. For example, an issue of The Atlantic from November 26, 2021 listed some doozies like the Japanese word ageotori, which is the feeling of looking worse after a haircut. And then there's ganache, the intense desire to bite deeply into the forearm of someone you love. Maybe if I get good at flamenco, someone will feel that way for me. Okay. So, why is emodiversity important? Well, because an article from the August 3rd, 2021 Journal of Gerontology states that multiple studies have demonstrated the association between diverse emotions and interpersonal communication. Mark Brackett, an emotions scholar, which I didn't even realize was a thing, but it's now become my life goal, he teaches at Yale, and he explained that when you can precisely label your emotions, you can more accurately describe your needs to others. In addition, you can also better understand someone else's needs, like knowing when someone is feeling sorny, which is the Dothraki word for being sad and horny. This guy knows. Don't worry though, if you practice your flamenco, who knows what could happen. A report from the University of South Florida, published on August 24th, 2021, explained that even for negative emotions, if you're feeling angry and all you can express is, oh man, you may suffer from a narrow understanding of the situation. Whereas feeling a mixture of anger, sadness, and shame may indicate a broader and more nuanced awareness. Like, oh, conflicting. Question mark? When you can better describe your needs to others, you can then reframe how you perceive the situation. So, now we know why feeling different emotions is important. The question is, how do we get better at it? First, according to The Atlantic of October 14th, 2021, we need to start striving to be more metacognitive, which is the awareness of what you're thinking and feeling. I've been practicing metacognition recently, and I've come to realize that I suffer from a constant feeling of why that guy? Which is the confusion one feels when trying to figure out why so many beautiful women are into Pete Davidson. Irresistible my ass! He must be really good at flamenco. Also, increase your vocabulary. According to my mom's issue of Reader's Digest from October 11, 2021, the easiest way to do this is to read more. But you can also go outside, listen to the radio, download a vocabulary app, or you can dance. Ole! Because according to a February 18th, 2020 article from the University of South Florida, activity diversity impacts emo diversity. So, if our emotions organize our physical responses to the world around us, then the possibilities for diversity are almost infinite. So, today, I talked to you about emo diversity. We talked about what that actually is, why it's important, and how we can become better at it. I know that my journey from emotionless robot to professional forensicator isn't quite complete. But I know along the way, you felt many different emotions during my speech. Hopefully, Sorny wasn't one of them.
That's going on, everybody. I picked him out of my speech one class because when they were getting ready for their first speeches, he stood up in front of everybody and he said, "I'm organizing study groups. Who would like to be a part of this group so we can get better at speeches together?" And I thought, I don't even know if he's good or not yet. I want him on my team. That's the kind of energy that you want. That's the kind of person you want. So thank you, Stoyan. We're going to go ahead and move on to our intramural competition a little bit, and I'm going to welcome up Jacqueline Yu. Jacqueline Yu is an amazing coach, and the cool thing about Jacqueline is that she's kind of still in the process of being great, and sometimes don't know how great she actually knows she is. But I like to think of her as like this up-and-coming Michael Jordan who doesn't realize that they're Michael Jordan. She's really awesome at her job, and I couldn't have done the intramural speech competition without her. So please welcome up Jacqueline.
Hi everyone, and thank you so much, Allan, for that introduction. I'm definitely not Michael, but I really wish I was. So thank you all so much for being here today. I'm super excited to introduce the intramural. Like Allan mentioned, we haven't been able to do that for quite a while, so we're very fortunate to have been able to bring it back this semester. And that could not have been possible without our amazing speech department and our students, and of course their family that supports them to go into these intramurals. So I want to go ahead and welcome up our finalists. Before I do that, I want to introduce you all to something we do in forensics. It's a little bit culty, but it's called the one clap rule. So when I call every person's name, you guys are going to go ahead and just do one clap. However, the claps are not always very synchronized, so let's go ahead and try practicing. So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. See what I mean? It's not always there, but it's okay. We'll get better at it. So let's go ahead and welcome up our finalists. First, we have Rakshita Nakshatri.
Javier Torres. He's going to present the next forensics performance. The thing you should need to know about Javi is that he's just, if you could take love, right, and put it into a person, just have that person walk around and just give love all the time, that is Javi. He is extremely selfless, and he does things for this team that I can't express enough thanks for. And he's very supportive in so many different ways. So I think you'll love him. Welcome up, Javi.
Hi everyone, I'm Javi. So the next performance we're going to see is something called a prose interpretation. What this basically is acting, but the special part about prose interpretation is that it's focused on a really good story, something of which I definitely love. So, except there's a few special features that we have during this performance. First of all, you're going to notice that performers who perform interpretation have something called a black book or a black binder, which contains the literature of which they are performing. Next up, you'll see them do character pops, which are quick changes of characters as they're performing. This is so that they give the illusion that there's multiple people in this performance, so that they don't have the ability to go backstage and do a quick change, much like in theater. The next thing that you're going to notice is that they have something called a teaser and an introduction. The teaser is a small bit of the performance at the beginning, which is just a taste of what's to come. But once they're finished with that teaser, they're going to close their black book, and this is not an invitation for them to end, but they're going to tell you their introduction, or the educational significance of this piece. Now, our next performer, well, one thing you should know about me is that I love telling stories, and this particular performer has a very, very special story. They have worked so hard. They started off early in the year, and they have just put in so much work to their performance. And one of the magical things about being an assistant coach is that we get to see their growth and development. So in this particular moment, we were at Nationals. We were in their semi-final round of prose interpretation, and I witnessed something that I feel lucky to have witnessed. This person took up the stage, and from the moment they started speaking, they blew us all away with their performance. And they not only had such heart, they had the coaching, they had the interesting character motivations and choices, but then, even more impressive, they started doing things on the fly. And as a coach, it's a little concerning, but it was impressive. This person puts in so much work, so much talent. They're just a tank. So please welcome up Anna Ganjin.
I'm 6 years old in my hometown of Iowa City, Iowa. And I'm watching my friends perform in the school's gospel choir concert. And I think, I want to join. I would love to be on stage with them. Oh, happy day, oh, happy day, oh, happy day, oh, happy day. Da-na-na-na, da-na. Hey, are you a boy? Because you sound like a boy. Are you kidding me? Look at my long black hair tied back in a ponytail. Look at my white tennis shoes with pink laces. Clearly, I'm a girl. At some point in our lives, many of us realize that the way we hear our own voice isn't the way others hear us. and we begin to grasp that our voices communicate so much more than mere information. They reveal our feelings. They shape who we are and how people think of us. But according to a 2015 article from the Annual Review of Applied Linguistics, work still needs to be done to problematize the ideologies that construct our voices as inalienable, unitary, and invariant facets of our identities. The following story is an example of such work. Finding Resonance by Kristen Wang. So that night, I go home, and I use my parents' answering machine to record myself. And I play back my voice over and over, and whoa. I do have a really deep voice. A boy's voice. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm flooded with embarrassment. But this does explain a lot. This explains why adults sometimes have to do a double take when they hear my little girl's body speak for the first time. And I think, God, this is so unfair. I'm already the only Chinese kid in my school full of white islands. Do I really have to be the girl with the boy's voice too? After that, I stopped singing. I get really good at being quiet and blending in. I hide all the parts of myself that are different, even if that means disowning my own heritage, not speaking up, not having my own opinions. Eventually, I leave Iowa, and I go to Boston for college, and I think this would be a really good time for me to find my true voice. It's college, right? But it turns out not to be so easy. One evening, I heard singing. Okay. It's the gospel choir. And I feel my soul just soaring with those harmonies and those lyrics. I want to be part of that community. I once was lost, but now but then that familiar fear comes back, and I am 6 years old again. What if I don't make the cut at all? Or worse, what if they put me in the baritones? I'm so ashamed of my deep voice that I don't even try out. But when I find out a couple months later that our school funds traveling fellowships to go abroad for the summer, I apply immediately. I want to get as far away from here as possible, and I could go to China. As I ride the bus near the border of Vietnam, I look at the faces of the people around me, and it's incredible. They all look like me. They look like they could be my mom or my dad. Yo, those are my cousins. Hey! And that's my aunt. And I feel free. I feel light. Like I'm not using up all this energy trying to blend in. I ride an orphanage, and I'm supposed to be working for kids with special needs. Right now, we're doing a musical play, and they each get to try a different instrument. My colleagues find out that I play the piano, so they rig up a keyboard for me in that room, and they have me do musical therapy with the kids. I play the piano for the kids every afternoon. My colleagues want me to sing too, but I tell them, no, I don't sing. A few days later, my coworkers are at a staff meeting, and I'm alone in the room with all and crying. And I'm assigned to a room of 30 children, ages 0 to 5. And they're all packed tightly in rows of cribs. And I look around the room, and there's not many toys. And the only thing I can think of to do Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. As I sing, the kids stop crying. And that makes me feel invincible. That's something I have been so ashamed of my entire life can bring peace and comfort. So when the kids asked me to keep singing that day, I do. And every day for the rest of the summer, I sing for them. And I sing for myself.
All right, thank you so much, Anna. So talented. Now we're going to welcome up our third place winner for the speech intramural. So again, congratulations to all of our finalists. So for this third place winner, they're going to be taking home $250. So let's go ahead and give a little drum roll, please. Our third place winner goes to Emily Fan. Congratulations, Emily. We're also going to welcome up Emily to give her speech as well. So, Emily, come on up for your performance. Another round of applause for Emily.
I wouldn't call it cruel, but we asked these speakers who were in the competition to do something. We said that if they won third, second, or first, that they would have to speak one more time so that the audience could see why they won. We had them submit PowerPoints if they had PowerPoints, and they have it right here on the laptop. So Emily's not only going to receive the award, Emily's going to perform right now. So give a round of applause for Emily.
Hello.
Can you hold both at the same time?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. You're familiar with that, right? Oh, sorry. This one. There we go. Yeah, you ready?
What drives someone to take the life of another? Now, I love watching crime documentaries because, along with morbid curiosity, I believe it's important to understand the motive behind a crime. That's what drew me to this particular case. On February 23rd, 2020, Allan, a 25-year-old black man, was going for a daily jog when, all of a sudden, 3 white men in pickup trucks pursued, shot, and killed him. William McMichaels and Gregory McMichaels and Travis McMichael were both armed while William Bryan filmed it. In November of 2021, all 3 men guilty of murder and were sentenced to life in prison. This past February, they were tried for hate crimes. So today, I'm going to be talking to you about the Ahmaud Arbery hate crime trial. To do so, I will first bring you through both the prosecution and defense, and then talk a little bit about the significance of this particular trial. So, let's start with the prosecution. Well, the prosecution argued that race played a key factor in the murder. How? Racist assumptions. Over the trial, the prosecution presented evidence in forms of messages and witnesses, all in hopes to establish a pattern of racist views. According to CNN on February 17, 2022, all three men were shown in various messages saying racist slurs and comments. For example, Travis McMichael had sent a picture to a friend of a man in whiteface trying to depict Trayvon Martin. For those of you who don't know, Trayvon Martin was a 17-year-old who was shot and killed in 2012. This message was followed by the words, "The winner of Halloween 2016. Now, along with these messages, the prosecution also called in many witnesses to testify against the defendants, one of which was a former neighbor who had stated that Gregory McMichael had called a black former female tenant a big fat black woman and a walrus. This was documented on the Savannah Morning News on February 18, 2022, which is a leading news source in Georgia, founded in 1850. Now, the prosecution called in a lot more witnesses than this. In fact, they called in 20 other witnesses, all in hopes to establish that pattern of racist views. They then went on to argue that the defendants pursued Arbery because of their racist perceptions about black people. Now that we have talked about the prosecution, let's move on to the defense. Well, the defense argued that race had nothing to do with the pursuit. How? Neighborhood crime. Over the trial, they presented evidence in the forms of a witness and a 911 call, all in hopes to prove that the defendants pursued Arbery not because of his race, but because they suspected him of committing burglaries. According to the New York Times on February 18, 2022, another former witness, a former neighbor, was called to the witness stand, and she testified saying that in 2019, she saw a suspicious white man entering the neighborhood. The defense then went on to play a 911 call in which Gregory McMichaels had reported that same white man, suspecting that he was behind the burglaries. Now, the defense called in one witness before resting their case. They went on to argue that the defendants would have taken action against anyone, regardless of race, because they had taken action against a white man as well. Now that we've talked about the prosecution and the defense, let's talk about the significance of this trial. Well, at the end of this trial, all three men were found guilty of hate crimes, but they were already convicted for murder. So why is this hate crime trial important? Well, race was not mentioned at all in the original trial, and regardless of the outcome of this hate crime trial, it was important to understand and determine if race had anything to do with it. Determining that bigotry did play a role in any hate crime trial, a guilty verdict will validate any of the power struggles or the fear that prejudiced people face, in this case, the black community. However, hate crime trials are rare. According to NBC on February 23, 2022, the number of hate crime trials has decreased by 82% due to insufficient evidence. And believe it or not, this Ahmaud Arbery hate crime trial almost didn't happen. Vox News, an explanatory news site founded in 2014 by a columnist in the Washington Post, stated on February 22, 2022, that the prosecutors of the Ahmaud Arbery hate crime trial initially wanted to offer plea deals to the defendants, which meant a lesser sentencing. The Arbery family refused, and eventually they pushed on. In doing so, the guilty verdict had that not only brought proper consequence to defendants, but also solidarity within the Black community. So today, I talk to you about the Ahmaud Arbery hate crime trial. To do so, I first brought you through both the defense and the prosecution, and then talked a little bit about the significance of the trial. Now, the one thing I don't like about crime documentaries is that sometimes they don't really talk about the victim at all. So I like to focus our attention back to Ahmaud Arbery. According to his mother, he was the life of the party. Growing up, he loved playing football despite not being the best at it. Now, even though he had a few run-ins with the law when he was young, he was genuinely turning his life around. In fact, he was going to college aspiring to become an electrician just like his uncles. He was loved by everyone around him, and he was a beautiful person whose life was undoubtedly cut too short. Thank you.
All right. Back on there. We're going to bring it back to our showcase for a little bit. I have to introduce another former forensics competitor who is now an assistant coach with us. His name is Michael Williams. Michael Williams really affected our competition. He affected especially our national competition and the way that they do things. He was an activist before he came onto our team, and he's a great debater. With one fatal flaw, there was one round where he tried to argue that Beyonce's album Lemonade was not that good. He was advised by our coaches, all of them, like, oh, really? You went with that? And yeah, we went for it. He lost, as he should have, but he won many more after that, because it takes experience, right? He's a great debater and a great person. Please welcome up Michael Williams.
The fear of public speaking is one of the biggest fears among people. That fear is exasperated because in recent times, it seems like if you say the wrong thing, someone can come up on stage and slap you. That means me being here is a very dangerous position. That's the last joke I'm going to tell because Allan looks like he wants to hit me now. But in debate, we do this all the time. Talking about controversial topics and important issues to come to resolutions and understanding. And no two better people exemplify this than the two people who are going to help me explain and bring up debate. The first person is a pain in my butt. But if you hook me up to Truth Serum, I would have to admit that every time I see her, she brings a lot of joy into my life. Everybody give a round of applause to Natalie Guzman. The next person I'm going to bring up is someone who not only has proven that she is a great debater, but she's also one of the greatest debaters I've ever had the privilege to coach. She is also a stallion, and you'll see what I mean when she comes up. Everybody give it up for Laurel Spears. So I lied a little bit. I told you all that they're coming up to help me explain debate. But really, what I really want to do is I want to acknowledge these two great individuals, and I have the pleasure and honor of presenting them with the Forensics Scholarship. speaker. She's one of the hardest working debaters I've ever had the experience of working with. Her tenacity and never giving up attitude is astonishing. This year, we had a lot of ups and downs with COVID, just like many people, and through it all, she never gave up. She never gave up on the dream and the idea of becoming a great debater, and she achieved that and more in this year. And I just am very honored and privileged to be a footnote in what is going to be a great and long, successful life in Natalie's life. Laurel has a little bit of soft spot for me because she is one of the more stable and consistent debaters I've ever had. She is a very calming presence, and she also is very hardworking. I know a lot of times, even when she just had downtime, she would come in and work on things and work on her craft. Also, like Natalie, they both had a lot of ups and downs this year, but she was able to overcome that and become great. She's one of the best speakers I've ever heard. She has a very talented gift for speaking, and I really appreciated coming in this year and being able to coach Laurel and see her grow and thrive as a debater. Everybody give it up for Laurel. To speak for a lot of the coaches here to say that the two of them were vital in keeping this year alive and keeping our hopes and our aspirations alive. The two of them, their stick-wittedness is one of the reasons why we were so focused on nationals and why we had such a success at nationals, because they never gave up on that idea of being national champions. And together they, by themselves, they won bronze in Parley, and by themselves, overall, they got us a silver here at PCC for our debate department on just them alone. They were the only two debaters that went to nationals, and they were able to accomplish that. I popped them up. I've given you all the hype up job. Now we're going to hear from them and hear if they have anything that they want to say, and they're going to talk about their experience in debate.
Hi, thank you, Michael. That was so nice. We had no idea that was coming. We're not going to do a debate for you guys because they're usually really long, kind of hard to follow, and usually quite depressing. So instead, we're just going to talk about our time in forensics. Yeah. So both of us started out in the fall of 2020. COVID, everything's online. And we decided to join the team doing platform and extemporaneous speaking. I won't explain what that is. But because it was online, it was a really hard environment to learn and actually enjoy it. So we decided not to come back the following semester. However, fall 2021, something was missing. So we decided to come back, and we decided that we weren't going to do the things we did before. We came back because we loved the staff, we loved the coaches, we loved Allan. But there's another coach. In walks Jay, with his sleeves of tattoos, a Dior pinky ring, Balenciaga shoes, and a Kate Spade briefcase. Diet Coke also, always. And so we were like, and we had heard great things about him too. He had a good personality too, don't worry. And so we decided to join debate. And speech and debate are very different. All the speech are kind of similar, but debate is a very different thing. But somehow we really fell in love. And like, we really liked this so much more than doing speech and so much more than it being online. And so it's really taught us some things.
Yeah, something that, there were actually 3 important things that we've learned from being in forensics, but for being in debate specifically. The first is that, as Michael said, there are a lot of controversial topics that we have to debate on, and you don't get to pick what side that's on. So one of the really important things that we've learned is to have a holistic viewpoint, have a holistic perspective, and understand things, even if you don't agree with them, to really explore all the various perspectives and possibilities. And that's a gift that I think debate has given both of us.
Yeah, like sometimes we'll be doing a round and the topic is that economic growth is more important than environmental protection. And to me personally, I think environmental protection is a lot more important than the economy. But you're forced to look at it in a way that without the economy and without economic growth, you wouldn't be able to have environmental protection. And so you have to look at these issues in such a more nuanced way, and how one thing may lead to another thing, and not everything just has like black and white. There are so many different sides to everything, and through debate and through having to stand for things that you don't personally believe in, it really shows you different sides of issues.
Not only that, but it's also given me a voice of my own, because you get to acknowledge, what do I actually believe in? And you start to convince yourself of certain things that you wouldn't otherwise believe if you hadn't done debate. This leads us to the next thing that debate has taught us. The next thing, we told her to speed it up. The next thing that debate has taught us is that you're never going to be prepared for debate. Half of it is just winging it. It's really just the definition of fake it till you make it. This speech that we're giving right now is fake it till you make it. We had no idea what we were going to say when we came up. And that is all of debate. You're really just pulling stuff out of your ass. That's all you're doing. And so the last thing, really quickly, the last thing is just the sense of community that we have through forensics in general. All of the people in forensics are so weird and so different and so diverse, and I don't know if I really would have become friends with any of these people if I didn't do forensics, but through it we've made so many close friends that we will keep for the rest of our lives, and that is just so important. You don't know us. Laurel and us are also best friends, and we've known each other for over 15 years. So being debate partners, being the only debaters on this team, has been an experience. And being able to see each other grow over such a long period of time has really been a gift. And being able to share this monumental experience with her and all of you and all of my competitors across the community has been so great. So thank you.
Another privilege of bringing up again Javi Torres.
Sorry, I forgot about that. Hi everyone, I'm back. So the next event we're going to be seeing is another interpretation event. But this differs a little bit from what we saw last, which was prose. This is what's known as dramatic interpretation, or DI for short. While prose was more focused on a good story, DI is more focused on a good character. And what's special about this next performance is that it's a programmed DI, aka it has a lot of different characters from a lot of different sources of literature. And Speaking of great characters, this next performer, like I said, I love telling stories, and I have a really, really awesome story to share about this next competitor. They were excited about their final preliminary round of nationals. So they expressed to me, they asked me, Javi, can you coach with me before my round? And of course, I obliged. But as we were going over the main notes and the ups and downs of their performance, the highs and lows, I asked them to perform because I wanted to see it before they went up to perform in front of people. And they told me, Javi, no. I can't perform it for you right now because I'm feeling it. And it is something that we advise our students before they go to nationals to seek out, to look for. It's a special feeling that allows them to be completely in tune with their performance. They told me, I'm feeling it. And I think the next time I perform this piece is going to be the best one ever. I was aghast. It was like Babe Ruth calling out their shot right there in the sky and getting ready to swing. And once again, as a coach, I was feeling a little frightened because I don't know what it's going to turn out. But after their performance, they came into the room and they cheered. I was right. That was the most amazing performance I had ever done. So please welcome up the Babe Ruth of our team, Gio Ibarra.
Theater is an industry that is still entrenched in the gender binary. There are male and female dressing rooms, character breakdowns that clearly read male and female, and you're told at an early age as an actor what your type is in male and female terms. When I was cast in the production of the 39 Steps, I played over 16 male roles. And though I had played male roles before, it no longer felt like drag to me. Instead, it felt like an extension of my gender identity. During that production, because of that production, I changed my pronouns from she, her, and hers to they, them, and theirs. I lost friends because of it. I lost work because of it. It is the single hardest and best decision I've ever made. His introduction made me cry. Last week, we competed in a state that was trying to ban transgender women and girls from competing in sports, the state of Missouri. And soon, we'll know if they've succeeded. According to a March 2021 study by the BMJ Global Health Journal, the pandemic has had a detrimental impact on the mental health of global transgender and non-binary communities. And a way to alleviate this suffering is not by banning them from sports, but, as stated in the study, through better access to gender-affirming services and programmatic support. The following program is my support. Now, when my team and I were putting together this dramatic program, I was so excited and terrified to talk about being trans, because I was afraid that it would leave me open to being debated on trans issues. And then it happened. Someone asked me, do I really think that trans women should be in sports? And I just wanted to say the right thing, to do right by all trans people. But I can't represent all trans people. I can only represent me. And I don't care about sports. I care about if trans people can be in spaces where they can be a part of a community, where they can do the things that they love. Because as you'll see in the following 4 different monologues, for people like me, the community around you is everything. With Transactions by Kay Woodzik and Ayla Sullivan, Where It Feels by Caitlin Schuster, I Think I Like Girls by Leif Wondakowski, and Adulting With You by Ayla Sullivan, a program on how surrounding communities impact transgender lives. Do you think I want that, Hannah? Don't you think I feel that every day? That I am something different. And I'm not acting this way because I don't care. Because if I didn't care, it'd be like, yeah, think what you want, motherfuckers. Obviously, I want what every fucking person on this planet wants. And it's really unfortunate that I've been born into this body that I don't get, but doesn't get me. And what people see isn't who I am. So yeah, I want them to know. I want to be able to not have a tiny heart attack every time I go out in public and I have to use the restroom. Which one do I choose, huh? Because either way, I walk in and some lady is washing her hands and she could be the nicest woman on the planet. But I can see it all over her face. The fear. What is this boy doing in my space? And the men, they think I'm some little bitch. But I feel like there's no space for me. No one has carved out a space for me. I mean, I can't even go to a public space where people go to take off their pants. So I have this home ec teacher, and they're trying to teach me how to sew and cook, and I'm just not interested. And so we have this project, right, where we have to make these initial pillows, and I have to make a D for Jacqueline. But I don't. You see, my father, he's totally not around, but he's supposed to take me to the store to get thread and my thimble and what else I need for sewing. And well, my friends, even people who weren't my friends, they were giving me their scraps, They were like, hey, it's okay that your dad's not around, we'll just give you this stuff. And my teacher, she just kept nagging me. She's like, when are you gonna get your stuff? When are you gonna get your stuff? And I was like, I have all this stuff. It's gonna be like a patchwork thing. Isn't that more cool? But she just kept up, nagging me every day. So finally, one day, I'm like, forget this. And I take my thimble and I throw it, to the one girl who gave me the thimble. And I thread it and throw it to the other guy, and I'm just whipping my stuff around. And not any kind of violent way. It was pretty casual. Anyways, I'm getting my point across. She comes up to me and she's like, are you ready to go to the principal's office? And I don't know where this thought came from, but I just slapped her so hard across the face. And I said, now I'm ready. And I walked out without a pass. I think there are only 2 reasons a child gets targeted for the system. They're either reacting very sanely to being emotionally, physically, or sexually abused, or they're not acting appropriate for their gender. And in both scenarios, we make this huge mistake, of telling the child that they're doing something wrong when they're acting very sanely to being mistreated.
Honey, look, I know I haven't been the most available person to you these past few months. My depression naps, they're not even naps anymore. They're just me thinking I can get away with sleeping for 16 hours. You know, the neighbors, they keep threatening to call social services because they think we're neglecting some screaming baby every time I have my mild, really gentle panic attacks every time the washing machine makes the sound, you know, the sound. Yeah, I see you give me those pity eyes. And I'm not saying I don't appreciate you being so supportive because you are my purpose and my muse and all that shit. And what I'm trying to say is, I think you'd be really proud of me today. For one, I took a shower. I know, it's basic. But I got out of the shower and I saw myself. I didn't dissociate and wish I saw something better. I just saw me. I saw someone who lives somewhere they are loved, where the water temperature is always perfect. And what I'm trying to say is, I am like a real fucking person because of you.
All right, thank you so much, Gio, for that amazing performance. I'm now back again to announce our second place winner for our speech intramural. So let's go ahead and get another drum roll, please. Our second place winner, winning $500 and coming up to perform their piece is David Malapitan.
I have David in the class, and he did not want to participate in this competition. I am like, oh my gosh, I have to basically beg him to put in an entry for this competition because when he performed in my class, I said, David, you're actually very good. You should join the team right away. By the way, everyone who's performing today, all the speakers, I asked them to join our team. And Emily, she was too busy, and she's going to be graduating. So okay, that's fine. But I'm going to ask you again, David, to please join our team in front of everybody to make it all public. It's like when you propose at like a Dodger stadium, like you can't say no. It's too embarrassing and heart crushing for me if you did that. So I'm gonna try to, David. David, could you please mute? It's fine. I'm already married. It's fine. You know what to do. Please welcome up David.
Man-made technologies are the crystallization of humanity's wisdom. Throughout the history of mankind, we have progressed as a civilization thanks to the number of advancements that we have achieved in certain fields. One of the most notable fields that we have advanced in is technology. And as of today, we are once again near the peak of the mountain in advancing our technological domains. And by that, I mean the creation of the Metaverse. Which is why today, I'm going to be talking about the Metaverse. To talk about the Metaverse in detail, I'm going to be talking about three things. First, the Metaverse's definition. Second, some of the benefits that the Metaverse can provide. And third, some of the consequences that comes alongside the Metaverse. But to start things off, what is the Metaverse? Well, according to an article released by the Washington Post this year, 2022, the Metaverse is akin to a 3D World Wide Web, where businesses, information, and communication of tools are both immersive and interoperable. If that seems a bit too vague or confusing to you guys, think of it this way. Let's say you're playing a virtual reality game that allows you to fight with someone else using a rapier, the thin sword used in fencing. While playing that virtual reality game, you can suddenly stop and go, I want to go hiking. You can't. Well, the Metaverse, on the other hand, allows you to do so since the Metaverse eliminates that narrow range of functionalities. So instead of playing a virtual reality game that only allows you to fight, in the Metaverse, you can also fight. But then you have the option to stop and go, I'm done fighting. Let's go for a swim. In short, the Metaverse is a virtual world where we can live our lives to some extent. Moving on, I'd like to talk about some of the benefits that the Metaverse can provide. First of which, new jobs and professions. According to an article released by the Wall Street Journal this year, 2022, one of the benefits that the Metaverse can provide is the creation of newly formed jobs and professions uniquely required because of the Metaverse's existence. To put it simply, the Metaverse will allow people to succeed in life within a whole new, unexplored, unknown, virtually related profession. Another benefit of the Metaverse is its capability to recreate reality. According to an article released by the New York Times this year, 2022, the immersive virtual world known as the Metaverse grants us with the possibilities of having an event unfettered by the bounds of reality. To further expand on that subject, the article used a word level issue, which is COVID-19. Due to COVID-19, people weren't able to celebrate, host, nor attend events in general. But the Metaverse's existence can change that. That is simply due to the fact that the Metaverse merely and only exists virtually. Therefore, it's not affected by physically related restrictions nor dangers. Now, let's level the playing field, alright? Even it out. In other words, I'm going to talk about some of the consequences that come alongside the Metaverse. First of all, virtual toxicity. According to an article released by the New York Times last year, 2021, virtual toxicity or toxicity issues in both gaming and virtual reality is not new. But as Meta, formerly known as Facebook, and other huge companies makes the Metaverse their platform for the future, these toxicity issues are more likely to be magnified by the company's reach over billions of people. In every online platform, there will always be some kind or level of toxicity. And sadly, the Metaverse's existence will amplify those issues. Another consequence of the Metaverse is its comforting feel or atmosphere. According to an article released by the Wall Street Journal this year, 2022, in the Metaverse, people can become who or what they aspire to be, hence giving them that false sense of comfort when interacting with others or even simply existing within the space. This false sense of comfort then starts leading people to live solely on the virtual world, which is actually quite detrimental to their abilities to engage in the tangible reality. Since the comforting atmosphere that the Metaverse provides, the comforting feel, eliminated. Nowhere to be seen the moment people go back to our physical reality. In the past few minutes, I have talked about three things. First, the Metaverse's definition. Second, some of the benefits that the Metaverse can provide. And third, some of the consequences that comes alongside the Metaverse. The Metaverse is truly a fascinating technological invention that we, as a society, can take advantage of to further progress as a civilization. But it goes without saying that it isn't without its own flaws.
Good job, David. Join our team. Okay. Going back to a couple more performances. We're almost done, actually. I want to welcome up our next presenter. Her name is Monica Flores Garcia. Monica Flores Garcia is a past national champion in impromptu speaking, but she's also a really super sweet person. When she was on our team, she would help to decorate our squadron, and she was always very mindful. She would always pick like non-denominational decorations for a room, and just like help out all the time. As people would leave trash, she'll help to pick it up. She's always really, really supportive in so many different ways. And she's just lovely to when you hear her speak. So I gotta bring her up here. Please welcome up Monica Flores Garcia.
To introduce our next event, and that is an informative or info speech. This kind of speech is one that aims to inform the audience on a really cool topic by explaining what it is, how it works, and its benefits and drawbacks. And today we'll be seeing Rocky perform their informative speech. One thing you should know about Rocky is that they are very good at identifying your zodiac, and by helping you discover your rising sun and moon, which is something they taught me about a month ago. But you don't need to know Rocky's sign or zodiac or rising sun or moon to see what a powerful, intelligent, caring, and kind, and honestly just a wonderful person that they are. As a coach, it has been an honor working with you, but I'm honestly just super honored to say that I got to say that I met you. So let's all welcome up Rocky del Castillo.
In 1987, painter Bob Ross slipped his paintbrush into the shape of a lopsided tree. As he looked over his art, he explained that this was a happy accident, that this gave him the opportunity to evaluate his methods, to see things from a new perspective. In the medical world, one happy accident is pushing researchers to do the same. They're called alexigens, and they're basically like a vaccine, but unlike any we've had before, because this vaccine inoculates people against trauma and depression. According to BBC News on February 4th, 2022, we're in a world where depression costs the US $3 billion a year. And the rates of people with mental illnesses has increased 6 times since the pandemic first started. It's almost impossible to find anyone who wasn't psychologically affected by it. Personally, my friends and I have become more open about our increasing levels of indifference towards life. And I almost lost 2 of them to suicide this past year. Today, we'll discover what alexigens are. Next, we'll go over how they work, before finally reviewing their implications for what the Washington Post on November 26, 2021 calls the potential beginning of the end of the mental health pandemic. To understand alexigens, we must first discuss our happy accidents. New Pathways in 2021 says that in 2014, neuroscientist Rebecca Brackman experimented with a drug called Calypso. She did so by using mice as test subjects. Once she injected the mice with Calypso, there was no indication that the injection had worked. Assuming that this drug had no effect in her depression experiment, she used these same mice for a PTSD experiment. However, once put in a stress-inducing scenario, these mice were able to function normally. They were completely unbothered. Then she realized the Calypso that she had injected the mice prior to their stressful situation had worked, but in a different way, a completely non-traditional way. She had just found a drug that would inoculate mice from experiencing trauma. Brackman concluded that Calypso enhanced stress resilience to the point where it would ward off mental health damaging triggers. So the mice still experience stress, but they're equipped with more effective stress responses. After seeing the results of this experiment, The Guardian on November 12, 2021 explains that Brackman coined a brand new term for this phenomenon, alexigens, derived from the Greek root alexo, meaning to protect. Now,
alexigens refers to an emerging class of drug that protects against mental illness and psychiatric disorders. But how do these drugs even work? Well, when it comes to approaching illnesses, scientists look for two things: ways to cure them and methods to prevent them. However, for mental illnesses, we have neither. The Wall Street Journal on May 22nd, 2021 says that current antidepressants only suppress symptoms, but don't stop them from returning when individuals no longer use medication. This is because current antidepressants focus on serotonin, which is a fancy word for the chemical in your brain that represents the happy emotions. Pharmaceutical research has only worked to improve those drugs which treat mental illness, rather than finding drugs that prevent mental illness. And this is where alexigens come in. In the past, scientists believed that stress resilience was based on the absence of risk factors. However, the National Institute of Health on June 3rd, 2021, says that stress resilience involves a separate active biological process, one that we can enhance, the same way a vaccine enhances our immune system. Yale Medicine on March 9th, 2022, explains that calypsol can do just that, enhance our immune system. However, it's not like the vaccines we know today. We can't just walk up to someone and say, yeah, we'll inject you with a little bit of depression so that when you get it later on, you'll just get it less severe and you'll get over it in no time. The CDC on March 25th, 2022 says that calypsol enhances glutamate receptors. Glutamate allows nerves in our brains to communicate with cells that help us learn and remember, in addition to helping our nervous system develop and heal. Glutamate receptors are so important that having too little of them can make us more susceptible to mental illnesses such as obsessive compulsive disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, and even social phobias. Calypso mimics a vaccine because it helps us build the tools that we need, in this case glutamate, to handle stress and trauma. So let's make sure we're all on the same page. Calypso is not a new drug that was suddenly invented to vaccinate against trauma. It was an old drug that was being used in a different way. And when Brackman found out that calypso had this ability, she essentially renamed it to alexigens. But calypso is more commonly known as ketamine. And this is where the implications of alexigens get just a little bit tricky. In case you didn't know, Forbes on January 24th, 2022 says that ketamine is also known as an addictive party drug called Special K. And according to a medically reviewed article on WebMD on March 9th, 2022, Special K is one of the most common types of date rape drugs. And the implications of that are tragically said in the name. Yale Medicine on March 9th, 2022 says that abuse of ketamine can cause memory loss, raised blood pressure, stomach ulcers that lead to very painful throw-ups, and even seizures. However, there's a new form of administering ketamine that can help solve for this. It's called ketamine infusion therapy. According to the Mental Health Center in 2021, ketamine infusion therapy is the process of a psychiatrist administering small, controlled amounts of ketamine to you through an IV in order to maximize the benefits of the treatment. Benefits of this treatment can be seen within hours, but can last months later. On top of improvements on mental health, ketamine infusion therapy includes low addictive behavior. This treatment is strictly administered in licensed psychiatrist offices, so you never have an opportunity to take it home with you in order to abuse it. The National Mental Health Alliance in 2022 urges us to imagine the potential of an inoculation that we could administer to first responders, frontline workers, military personnel, cancer patients, refugees, and other vulnerable populations. Today, we discovered what alexigens are Next, we went over how they work before finally reviewing their implications. Rebecca Brackman made an Axibal discovery that may one day change the lives of many. Although it may be easy to focus on the potential benefits of calypsol, which is also known as ketamine, we must also recognize the possible drawbacks, because it's only when we look at the whole canvas that we're able to create a better painting.
Rocky. I have to note that Rocky just got her wisdom tooth taken out not that long ago and donated blood today. So what a powerhouse to give a performance like that. Great job, Rocky. So I'm back here again to no surprise to announce the Intramural first place winner. Before I do that, I want to give a special thank you to our Director of Forensics over there sitting in the dark corner. Congratulations to all of our finalists for the speech intramural. Thank you so much for attending, for being a part of it. And one more drum roll, please, for our first place winner. Winning $1,000, Daniel Peters.
Intersectionality is stupid. Daily Wire founder Ben Shapiro said that. I mean, what an absurd quote. One that truly doesn't understand the meaning of the term intersectionality. The crossroads within our background which combine to form our identities as individuals. It is the acknowledgement that each and every one of us experience our own unique discrimination and oppression. We all have it. So today, I'll be discussing what is my intersectionality. And to do so, I'll explain a couple of things. One, what are some of the co-cultures that live within myself? And two, how do these bring about advantages and disadvantages for me? So, what are some of my co-cultures? Well, I am a white male. I'm of German-Irish descent. I was born into the middle class, and I'm an able-bodied American citizen. Now the big question is, how do these bring about advantages and disadvantages? I will acknowledge the fact that with my position comes a lot of advantages, however, there are still some disadvantages in there. For instance, in a society which is trying to bring about change regarding social injustice, it is hard to fully relate to the cause. I will be as anti-racist and try to bring about change, but as a white male who is presumed to have the most privilege, the tip-top privilege there is, it is hard to be taken seriously when trying to bring about that change. I'll be brushed off, put to the side. Also, as a white male of decent stature, in high school I experienced a lot of assumptions about myself. I had people call me a conservative, that I look like I'm a racist. I look like I should live in the South and be shoveling hay for the rest of my life on some farm. When in fact I'm nothing but the opposite. I'm your stereotypical California surfer boy whose dictionary 70% consists of the word dude. Also, as a male in today's society, I grew up with the expectation that men should be tough, gritty, mean, and stern. With the availability to TV and movies and growing up with family and friends, I constantly heard phrases like toughen up, rub some dirt in it. Phrases that explicitly said you should not express your emotions, you should be tough. But as I've grown up, I've come to learn that expressing your emotions is no longer a weakness, but rather a strength. Now that I've discussed the disadvantages, I will explain the advantages that come with being in my position. I know I will never go out as a white male and experience any social injustice towards myself. And once again, as a male of decent stature, I can go out and never be harassed, followed, stalked. I know I can go out walking at night and feel safe. I have a built-in defense mechanism with my size. I also know, as a middle-class citizen, I will live comfortably in my home and future homes, with warm food at the table, motor transportation, and a bed to lay my head at night. And when I wake up from that bed in the morning, I know I can go out and never experience any racist, sexist, or ableist remarks towards myself or my family. For that, I am forever grateful. Today, I discussed what are some of my co-cultures and how those bring about advantages and disadvantages for me. Intersectionality is not stupid. And the quote saying otherwise is rather ignorant upon the topic. For intersectionality connects us, and it connects us to our individual backgrounds, personalities, personas, ethnicities, so on and so forth. For intersectionality is not stupid, but rather a topic more important than we may all realize. Thank you.
All right, we've come to the end. A couple of things. If you're watching today and you thought, I can do that, you should join our team. We're always looking for more people, people that have a great attitude and great team work ethic. So yeah, just talk to anyone that you saw in a suit today, or anyone of the assistant coaches that came up here. Before we go, I have to acknowledge a couple of things. I want to say thank yous to my family and my friends and the families of everyone who participated here. But I also wanted to single out a very special person in the room. Her name is Lisa Reinhardt. She's right over here. Lisa is the Dean of the Performing Communication Arts Division, which is basically, all the people that are in here. And Lisa will be stepping down as Dean very soon. So this is probably the last showcase that she'll be watching as a Dean here at PCC. But she has a greater relevance to me. I'm the Director of Forensics at PCC, and Lisa Reinhardt was the Director of Forensics when I was a student at Mount San Antonio College. And everything that I'm doing up here, most everything, she taught me. And I'm teaching that now to the students here today and tonight for however long I'm working here. So I just wanted to say thank you to Lisa personally while I'm up here. Let's round of applause. We started on a little warm up. I want to end on one last one. You don't have to stand up, but I need some clapping with it. It's going to sound a little strange. We have these kind of call and response things. Right? And this one's called Chicken on the Barnyard Fence. Once we're done with this last warm up, you all are free to go. I promise it'll be a little fun before we go. Okay? Does anyone want to start the clap for me? When you do? I'll say something, you repeat after me. Okay, pause. I got a better idea. I do want you to stand up. You should stand up and stand up. It's more fun when you're standing. You might start dancing, you might start jiggling. I don't know what's going to happen. So. I know I started and stopped. I'm running the show. I can do what I want. All right, start the clapping, please.